Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports Scene, a game consisting of 3 expert panelists competing for a make-believe prize or a high five, whichever the winner decides. I am your host, Collin Talbert, and today we will cover such topics as college basketball, the NFL, and even Major League Baseball. But before we get too in-depth, why don't we meet those 3 fine gentlemen that are on the panelists today. First, he has stumped the Schwab 3 times and loves Twinkies, Matt Desiel Gutzman. Next, his hands have been compared to Kelvin Johnson's, and he once caught 17 fish in 20 minutes. That's Cody Holloway. And last but not least, he won a pass, punt, and kick competition at the age of 7 in the high school division. That's Max, the Killer, Kelly. Remember, I will give points for good answers and not give points for the not-so-good answers, so hopefully we won't have any of those. But in reality, the points are just about as relevant as the Milwaukee Bucks are to the NBA. So jokes aside, why don't we get started here and start in the Big Ten. The Big Ten season just ended this last week. Number 1, Michigan notched up the regular season title. Wisconsin's number 2, Michigan State's number 3, and a surprise Nebraska at number 4. So why don't we start with Desiel here. Who do you think is the favorite going into the conference tourney this weekend?
I really have no idea. It's just a complete chaos in the Big Ten this year, but for the sake of the show, I'm going with Michigan to win the Big Ten tournament this weekend, with all on the back of the player of the year in the Big Ten, Nick Stauskas, who averages 18 points a game, shoots 49% from the field, 46% from the three-point line, and averages 3.5 assists a game. I think Michigan takes it.
So he liked Big Ten Player of the Year, Nick Stauskas, and Michigan. Cody, who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm going to go with Michigan State. I know they've had their troubles as of late. They're 6-7 in their last 13 games. But they got Adrian Payne, they got Dawson, they got Appling, and they got Big Ten, first team All Big Ten, Gary Harris. So yeah, with those 4 guys, I feel like they're going to take the cake. They're my dark horse to win it, even though they're only the 3.
So he's going with Michigan State here. Max, who are you going with?
I'm going to have to sort of agree with you, Cody. I had Michigan State, but I really think if it's going to come down to either Michigan State or Wisconsin, I think they're going to both play each other in the semifinal game, and they both had pretty good seasons so far. Kind of up and down for Wisconsin and Michigan State. Adding to that, Michigan State has had a ton of injuries, and Tom Izzo is always pretty good in March. So I'm probably going to go with Michigan State, but still think Wisconsin has a pretty good chance.
We have about 5 or 6 probably legitimate contenders here in the Big Ten, all the way going down to Ohio State and Iowa, who have relatively easy first-round games. The Big Ten Player of the Year and the all first-team conference was released for the Big Ten. Nick Stauskas won the Big Ten Player of the Year, unanimous, got all the votes from the coaches. Stauskas, Harris, Roy Devin Marble, Petaway, and Wisconsin's own Frank Kaminsky are on the first team. Cody, do you agree with this first team nominations, or what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, most of them I agree with. The only one I really don't agree with is the junior, Frank Kaminsky. The reason why I don't agree with him, he had one game where he scored over, 20, or he had a couple games over 20, he had that one 43-point game, but other than that, I didn't really see him doing much. So I'd probably switch him out with Iowa's Aaron White, to tell you the truth.
So that's what Cody thinks here. So Big Ten was a pretty unanimous decision. I think Nick Stauskas was a good player of the year. Moving on to the ACC, some top teams were losing games down the stretch. Virginia lost a game. Duke lost a couple games down the stretch here. So these top teams losing here down the stretch, who do you think is going to win the ACC tournament? We'll start with Max on this one.
Thanks, Colin. I have North Carolina actually at the 4th seed in the tournament. They've been an up-and-down team, but they were the first team in history to beat the top 4 preseason top 25 teams. And I think they're just loaded with talent. Marcus Page is one of the most exciting players to watch in college basketball, standing at only 6'1". He's just a great guard, so I'm going to have to go with the North Carolina.
He's going with the Tar Heels. We'll go back to Desiel. Who do you got?
I got Duke winning this. I think Jabari is going to show out for the ACC tournament, averaging 20 points a game. The 3-point shooting left-hander for Duke, Rodney Hood, who stands about 6'8", just hits everything from beyond the arc. And Duke also has the other outside shooters of Solomon, Quinn Cook. I think the 3-point shooting is going to take it for him.
And real quick before we move to the Big 12, Cody, who you got?
Yeah, I got Virginia. I like Tony Bennett. He's very a defensive-minded coach. They always have a great defense, and they got another great player in Joe Harris who can shoot the 3 real well. So I got Virginia, and they won the outright ACC.
So real quick here in the Big 12, Kansas caught the injury bug recently here going into the Big 12 tournament. A couple teams surging late. Oklahoma State could make a surprise here with Marcus Smart always. So just real quick, who you got winning the Big 12 championship? We will start with Cody here.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and say Kansas is going to win it. They got Andrew Wiggins, probably the NBA's best draft prospect right now. I know Joel Embiid's out with a stress fracture in his back. It said he's going to be out for 2 weeks, but I'm still going to have to stick with Kansas. They just got the most. I think they're the most athletic team in
Max,
Big 12.
Max, who you got for it?
I'm going to have to go with Kansas, too. They're just too talented to lose, so that's going to be my pick.
So we got 2 Kansases. Who we got in the third one?
I got Kansas even without Embiid. Wiggins is coming off the game of 41 points, 5 steals, 8 boards, and 4 blocks against West Virginia. I think he's going to be hot again.
So those are some of the big conference tournaments coming up here, but now we got the NCAA tournament coming up in a few weeks, and some have said this might be the most bracket-busting year in recent history here with a field wide open. We had started off here with the number 1 seeds. I think the 3 number 1 seeds have been kind of a lock: Florida, Wichita State, and Arizona. But the big question mark is the 4th number 1 seed. So we're going to start with Max. Who you has as your 4th number 1 seed for the NCAA tournament?
My 4th number 1 seed is going to be either Kansas or I think Duke. If either of those teams win their conference tournament, I think both of them could deserve the number 1 seed. I also see that in ESPN they have Villanova contending for that. But I'm going to say either Kansas or Duke. If I had to pick one, I'm going to go with Kansas.
Desiel, who you got?
I'm going to go with Kansas as well, getting that 4th number 1 seed. I think their athleticism is just going to take over in the Big 12 tournament, and I think they're going to sweep it, and that's what's going to get them the number 1 seed.
So we got 2 Kansas here. We got anybody else here? What do you got, Cody?
Yeah, I'm definitely not going with Kansas without Embiid, even though I'm having them win their conference. I'm going to go with Virginia with Tony Bennett again and Joe Harris. If they knock off Duke or North Carolina, they'll knock both those teams off, and they're just giant killers. I see them getting that 4th overall number 1.
So we got a couple of big names there, but a lot of recent articles until their loss to Nebraska. They had Wisconsin possibly be a number 1 seed with the resume they have and the RPI and some of the big wins that they do have. You know, even with that loss to Nebraska, real quick, I know, Cody, you wanted to talk about this. What do you think Wisconsin picks up as a seed?
Yeah, I say if they win the Big Ten tournament, they'll get a 2 seed. But if they lose in that first round game, either to Penn State or Minnesota, I have them dropping to a 3 seed. So hopefully they win that first game and they can stay there with that 2 seed.
So a 2 or 3 seed. So like I said, the NCAA tournament is going to probably make a lot of people pull their hair here. It's going to be a very frustrating bracket. Nobody really knows who's going to win. There's really not a legitimate favorite here. So I'm just going to ask, who do you guys think is going to win it all, make it all the way to the end? We'll start with Desiel here. Who do you got?
I have Kansas winning it. Embiid's going to come back for probably after the first round. Kansas shouldn't have a problem with that first round game. He'll be back. Between him and Wiggins, the freshman phenoms for that team, I think, are going to put the team on their back and carry them.
So that's who he's got here. Cody, who you got?
Yeah, I'd like to say Wisconsin, but I just can't do that. So I'm going to go with another Big Ten team in Michigan State, who's going to also win the Big Ten conference tournament. They just have too many players in Harris and Appling, like I said, and Dawson and Payne. So Michigan State, who's going to be kind of a sleeper too.
Yeah, if they can get healthier, they could make a legitimate run too. Max, who do you got is winning it all?
I got North Carolina. Kind of a surprise team. They've been very inconsistent this year, but I think Roy Williams rallies the troops, and they just got a great players. They have Marcus Page, as I said before, James Michael McAdoo, and then right here from Wisconsin, JP Tokoto. I think they all are very good players, and they're going to make a run in the tourney.
He's a gamer. I would say that Marcus Page is probably one of the best gamers in the game here. Real quick before we go to break here, who do you think is going to be the National Player of the Year? I know the consensus is Craig McDermott. Who do you think, Desiel? Who do you think is going to be the Player of the Year?
I could see it being Julius Randle from Kentucky. That kid, if you want to call him a kid, is just a man. I mean, he, I believe, leads the NCAA in double-doubles. He's listed at 6'10", can just run the floor better than most guards can, and he's an unbelievable athlete.
Cody, you agree with him?
No, I'm going with Dougie Fresh from Creighton. He averages, he's 8th in the league, 8th in the nation overall in scoring ever, 8th most points. And they've also knocked off Villanova twice, who some of you guys have as a number 1 seed. So I would say Doug McDermott.
And Max, real quick, who you got?
Doug McDermott. I think he's Adam Morrison without the mustache.
All right, so that was our National Player of the Year predictions. Here we're going to take a real quick break here. When we come back, we'll talk about the NFL draft, but we're going to look at some perfect pets.
Meet Zeke. He's a 1-year-old kitten that loves to play, hunt, and adventure. Like treats, meet Oreo. This 1-year-old lab is full of fun and is very sweet. Take out your umbrellas, it's Storm. This 2-year-old kitty likes to keep busy and is puddles of fun. And here's Edith. She's a sweet and an affectionate 8-year-old lady that is searching for a new home.
To find out more about adoption for these pets or others, contact the Cooley Region Humane Society at 781-4014.
The phone number for the Cooley Region Humane Society is 781-4014. Welcome back to Sports Scene here. A quick update on the points. We got a 3-way tie here. I thought we had a really good first word. Everybody's got 50 points, so good job on the first round, guys. When we move on here, the NFL draft got moved to May this year, the first draft being moved to May. A lot of good players in the field, a lot of top prospects, a lot of rare prospects. So we're going to start here with Max. Who goes number 1 to Texans, you think? Who's the number 1 overall pick?
It's got to be Teddy Bridgewater. His stats were amazing last year, about 4,000 yards, 31 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions. I mean, and he led a pretty average Louisville team, in my opinion, to 12-1. They blew out Miami in their bowl game. I think the score was 36-9, something around there. So that's going to be my number 1 pick, and the Texans need a quarterback.
All right, Teddy Bridgewater. He goes to Teddy Bridgewater. Who do you got, Desiel?
If the draft for today, I got Blake Bortles going number 1. The kid can throw any throw that wherever he wants to put it on the field, he can make it. He's underrated athletic-wise. He's a big, strong kid. I mean, I think he's your prototypical quarterback right now.
2 guys, 2 quarterbacks. Cody,
No.
Is it going to be a quarterback?
No. I wanted to go Bortles, but we only got 1 year of tape on him. He's a 1-year starter there at UCF. So I'm going with Jadeveon Clowney, the man-child from South Carolina. The guy who runs like a 4.5 40, and him and J.J. Watt in the ends, they'd probably each have like 17 or 18 sacks, and they'd just be a force to be reckoned with for the next 10 years and down there in Houston.
So 2 quarterbacks and a physical freak that we probably haven't seen in a long time. Free agent, why? Free agency just started today, and a lot of big names going off the board here. A couple surprises. We're going to start with Cody here. Have you been following the free agent today? What are some surprises you think so far today in your mind?
I've been following it a little bit. I saw that Blaine Gabbert got traded to the 49ers for his 6th-round pick. So now the Jaguars have Chad Henne, so they might be needing a quarterback in the upcoming draft. Also, I see DeMarcus Ware got let go today, so he'd be a great pickup for even a team like the Packers.
Max, what have you caught on today?
I had some players to watch from before. I think I want to see where Noshan Moreno goes. I know that the Broncos were showing less interest in taking him back. I think they're going to go with Wisconsin, Monty Ball. And I'd like to see where he goes. I mean, he had about 1,000 rushing yards, 10 TDs. So I think he'd be a good addition to a different team.
He had a very good, very quiet, good season here. Desiel, I know you wanted to talk about this one. Adam Scheffner over here, what do you got?
Well, my sources have told me some of the big names have come off the board already. Eugene Monroe is planning on re-signing with the Ravens. Brandon Albert was going to sign. Jared Veldheer from the Oakland Raiders. Those are the pass protectors. Safeties, TJ Ward and Dante Whitner have both signed already. Carlos Dansby, who's probably the top middle linebacker free agent, signed with the Cleveland Browns today. But the cornerbacks this year in free agency are the deepest we've probably ever seen. So hopefully they make some moves here soon.
Well, yeah, a lot of big name guys on the market here. A lot of big name guys going off here the last couple of hours. But it's going to be a very good couple weeks here of free agent time. Why don't we move to the Green Bay Packers? I know the Packers said they're going to spend some money this year, according to the Packers organization and Ted Thompson, whatever that means to Ted Thompson. We haven't seen it so far yet. First, I got to ask you, what do you think of the Sam Shields deal? Nearly $10 million a year. Do you think it's worth it? I'll start there with Cody. What do you think?
As you say, in Ted we trust. I really don't trust Ted in that deal. It was for over $10 million a year. You get that in a signing bonus. Doesn't matter, but as Desiel said, there's a lot of good cornerbacks out there in free agency. We have Tremont Williams, who's a proven good cover corner. He was our number 1. He led the league in interceptions a couple years ago. Also, the NFL draft's deep with Darqueze Dennard from Michigan State, who was the Jim Thorpe Award winner, and there's another corner from Oklahoma State who we could draft. So, no, I don't like the Shields
So, Max, do you agree on the big signing with Shields, or do you think the Packers should be looking somewhere else here in this free agent pool?
I thought they should be looking somewhere else. I mean, that was a lot of money for Sam Shields. They had him, I think, ranked maybe the 5th best corner in free agency, and maybe like the 40th or 50th best player in free agency. So, I mean, I think we could have gotten somebody a little bit better. But, I mean, any addition to our secondary, I'll be fine with that.
We got a like and we have a dislike, so we have to have a consensus here. Desiel, what is it?
I really like Sam Shields, but I think they overpaid him. $10 million a year. This upcoming season, he's going to be the 2nd highest paid corner in the NFL. And let me just throw out a list of the corners that are going to be free agents right now. Vontae Davis, who's actually off the market now, I'm sorry. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, Antonio Cromartie, Hakeem Talib, Brent Grimes, and Altarian Werner from the Tennessee Titans. And possibly Darrelle Revis when he gets released from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They could have spent that money somewhere else to get a bigger, more physical corner to play with the big physical receivers of the NFC North.
So draft-wise for the Packers, we just talked about free agents. Draft-wise, quick, who do you like to see the Packers pick at the 21st pick? Max, who do you like to see them pick there at 21st?
I haven't really looked into this as much, but I think we need a good, probably another defensive player. I'd like to see him pick someone from the defense. I'm not going to throw out a name right now because I haven't done my research as much on this, but probably a defensive player.
Defensive player, so maybe a defensive back, middle linebacker, stuff like that. Cody, you got anybody in mind real quick?
Calvin Pryor from Louisville, or else Clinton Dix from Alabama, the 2 safeties. I'd like to see us get them.
Clinton Dix, that's funny, but
That's pretty funny.
I'll let that one go here. Well, we move on to NBA tanking's been a big debate here recently. Some of the top teams have been slumping. The Pacers, the Heat, to name a couple on the top here. So I just gotta get what your guys' initial thoughts are on NBA tanking. Does it exist, or is that just kind of a myth going around? We'll start with Desiel here.
Well, out of the big 3 teams, the Pacers, who are on a 4-game skid, the Heat, who finally won one last night against the Wizards after a 3-game skid, and the Thunder were 3-5 since the All-Star break. I don't think they're tanking, but they're just playing terrible. Let alone talk about the Bucks or the 76ers, who I don't know how a team in the NBA can be that bad with some of the people that they have. So part of me thinks that tanking does exist. I don't know why you would want to tank because, I mean, the lottery is still on chance, so there's still a chance they don't get that number 1 pick.
Cody, do you agree with them or no?
Well, no. I'm going to say, the top teams aren't going to tank. I mean, the Thunder are 3-5 in their last 8 games since Westbrook's been back, but I think Durant needs to start shooting more like he was when Westbrook was injured. Now going to the Bucks and the 76ers, who have lost 17 straight games, I don't think they're tanking. They're both about 1 and 2 as getting that first overall lottery draft pick. But it all, as Desiel said, it all comes down to the ping pong balls and who will get that first overall pick.
So final thoughts here, Max. Why don't you close out? What do you think on NBA tanking? What's your stance?
I don't know if it exists. It probably does, and I don't really like the concept of tanking at all. But if a team was to do it, this would probably be the year. I mean, they've got Embiid, Wiggins, Parker, all great prospects coming up. And as a semi-Bucks fan, I'd like to see them get a great prospect to add to the Greek Freak and maybe get them a little better.
All right, so staying in the NBA, the MVP race has kind of solidified itself into a 2-person race, being KD and LeBron, with maybe a little dark horse coming up. I'm not going to mention the game because you guys are going to laugh at it. But so KD and LeBron, who do you guys have? Why don't we start with Cody, between KD and LeBron?
I would have to go with KD. He's the leading scorer right now, and he's on the best team, I believe, in the NBA. So I'd have to go with KD. My dark horse would be Blake Griffin, who scored 37 last night. He's leading the Clippers up in the West. So, but I'd really have to go with KD. I just think he's carrying the Thunder, and it's about time he wins an MVP over LeBron.
So we got one KD here. Max, who do you got?
I got KD also with almost 32 points, averaging 7 to 8 rebounds a game and almost 6 assists. I mean, he's putting up monster numbers this year. I'd like to see him dethrone LeBron and maybe even throw Joakim Noah into the mix. I know that's probably the name you're talking about.
Get some extra points for that one. I like Joakim Noah. I like that name. But Desiel, what you got?
If the season ended today, I'd have to give it to Kevin Durant. But hold my words, at the end of the season, LeBron will make his run and keep his throne and 4-peat as the MVP.
So there we go, LeBron,
He already made his
KD.
run with that 61 points.
Our 61 points. Yeah, well, yeah, real quick, Cody just mentioned that. What do you feel on your 61 points? I know there was a lot of ups and downs on that. What did you think?
I mean, he had a good game, and after that, he's been tanking. I think he's been averaging 18 or 19 points after that, 3 of 27 from the three-point line. So I think he had his moment in the sun there for that one game, but it's back to the Kevin Durant show.
So that is our second segment here. We're going to take a real quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk odds and ends. But right now, we're going to look at UWL promo.
Hey, can't find what you're looking for?
What?
You can find what you're looking for and more at WMCM. WMC-TV has plenty of shows you can view at your pleasure. There's Profile, where we interview people throughout the community. Or if you like sports, we have Sports Talk Live and Sports Scene. And if you're into celebrity gossip, that's why we have Afternoon Delight.
Well, that all looks great, but I'm on a computer, not a TV. I bet you guys don't have a way for me to watch this stuff on a computer.
Oh, we have that covered too. Just go to WMCMTV.com for all the updates.
Wow, that solves all my problems. Thanks, WMCM Genie.
Welcome back to Sports Scene. Just a real quick look at the scoreboard, a quick update here. Matt and Cody both have 100 points, and Max got the extra 5 points with the Joakim Noah mention. So he is in the lead right now with 105 points here. Going into the final round is like we like to call it odds and ends. Our first thing, Milwaukee Brewers. Baseball is back here. We're in the heart of spring training. So I'm going to go over or under. The Brewers have an 85 wins this season. Why don't we start with Max?
I'm going to go over here, Colin. I think, well, I just kind of want to believe it, that they're going to make the wild card push and that they're going to get into the playoffs with the wild card push. But they added a couple former players, Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod, and Lyle Overbay, maybe both a little old. But they also added pitching stud Matt Garza. I think they come back with Ryan Braun and make a big push.
Who knows, maybe Ryan Brown will have a big year here. Diesel, what do you have? Over, under?
I'm going to go just over, but only a couple wins over, and that's pretty much because they're going to be their 3 stud starting pitchers. Hopefully Giovanni can live up to Giovanni expectations. Matt Garza and Kyle Loesch will be just fine. But the big question is at first base. All 3 first basemen are only going to hit probably 240 if they're lucky. Not be any protection to Ryan Braun whatsoever. And Ryan Braun, to me, has no place for the Brewers. I hope they trade him.
Sure hands, we got 2 over 85 wins. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going over 2, and we do have protection in Ryan Braun and the ever-ageless Aramis Ramirez. And we got Lucroy behind him, too. So I'm going to go over with that. I'm going to say about 90 wins.
So we have 3 overs for the Brewers and 85 wins this year. Next, MVP predictions. Buy or sell Miguel Cabrera 3-peats as an MVP. Diesel.
I'm going to sell this. I love Miguel Cabrera as a player. I think he's arguably the best player in the Major League Baseball. But it's going to be Adrian Beltre from the Texas Rangers. He has Prince Fielder batting behind him, and Prince Fielder the past 3 years has batted behind the MVP for 3 years straight, with Braun 1 year and Miguel Cabrera 2 years in a row. And Beltre's already put up perennial MVP numbers, and he's going to do even better this year.
Cody, no love for Miggy here. What do you got?
I'm buying it. Miggy's winning it. You know, like you say, Beltre, he's put up those numbers, but what is he? He's got to be almost 45 now. Just kidding. But still, he's old. And, I mean, Prince Fielder will provide the protection, but Miggy's too good. Like you say, he's the best overall hitter. He's hit over 30 home runs, 300 average, and 100 RBIs the past 4 or 5 seasons. So I'm going to say Miggy keeps it in Detroit.
We'll have to get a stats check on the back on his age here. Max, what do you got? Over or buy or sell?
I'm selling it. I've got AL MVP Mike Trout. Now, he's put up a couple really good years so far. He's young. I think he's going to try to perform for his money. Also, the Angels, under a lot of pressure, making all those big signings, they have to perform this year to make those signings worth it.
Real quick here, NL side of things, Max, we'll start off with you. Andrew McCutcheon, buy or sell? Do you think he's going to repeat as NL MVP?
I'm selling that too. I got Bryce Harper, another young gun. Just came out with a picture. He's looking jacked. He's I think he goes for 35 plus home runs this year, and he takes the MVP.
Desiel?
I got Joey Votto winning it after a down last year when he was hurt. I think he's the best first baseman in the major leagues, and I think he's going to win it again.
And real quick, Cody, who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ryan Braun from the Brewers. He's looking a little smaller this year. Everyone knows why, but I think he'll bring it home with a 40-40 season.
You heard it here first. Ryan Braun's going to be the NL MVP, according to Cody Holloway. Cy Young here. Now we just did the hitters. Why don't we do the pitchers? Percentage number. I want a percentage number for Clayton Kershaw winning the NL Cy Young. Desiel, we'll start with you. Give me a number.
Right now, I have it about 65% that he repeats. Kind of worries me that he got that huge contract. I don't remember the numbers exactly, but if he's going to live up to that expectations, I mean, he's a great lefty, but I think he will repeat again.
So he has him repeating. Sure hands. What do
Yeah, I gave it 72% myself. Kershaw got that over $200 million contract. He's only 24 years old. He's a lefty. The National League doesn't really have that many good pitchers. What is there? Zach Greinke, who also plays for the Dodgers. The Braves got Chris Medlin, who is meeting with specialist Dr. James Andrews about possibly Tommy John surgery. So I'm going to have to keep it with Kershaw at 72%.
72%, a very exact number. Max, who do you got here?
I'm going to go a little bit over that 80% that he repeats. I mean, he had 29 of the 30 first place votes for Cy Young last year. He had a 1.8 ERA, I think it was. And I just think he's probably one of the best pitchers in the NL by far.
So that's the NL. Why don't we go AL here? Fill in the blank. Blank will win the AL Cy Young. Cody, who's got the AL Cy Young?
David Price will win the AL Cy Young. He already won it back, I believe, in 2012. Last year, or a couple years ago, Verlander won it. But yeah, Scherzer won it last year. I'm going to have to go with David Price this year, winning his second AL Cy Young. He's always in the top 5. I think he's going to do it again.
All right, we got David Price here. Max, who you got?
I got Verlander, Justin Verlander. He's coming off surgery in January. I think he's going to be a lot better than his mediocre 2013 season.
The girl and the Cy Young here. What do you got, Desiel?
I got King Felix out in Seattle. My boy Jay-Z brought in protection with Robinson Cano to give King Felix some run support. Go Mariners.
So that is the game here. Let me add up the points real quick. And just because he predicted Ryan Braun to win MVP and gave an exact 72%, we are going to go. Cody, you are the winner of Sports Scene today. You get the first rant or what? Your FaceTime here. What do you want to talk about here?
I'm going to talk about Sam Decker real quick of the Wisconsin Badgers. He needs to step up his game. He's averaging 7 points and 6 rebounds in the past 5 games. He's just not doing much. Bo Ryan had a meeting with him, but he needs to step up for the Badgers to win.
All right, Max, you got second place here. What do you got here? FaceTime, real quick.
I'm going to go Rashard Mendenhall, retiring at age 26, I think it was. Kind of reminds me a little Ricky Williams, but I guess he's going out. He's going to do what he loves, travel and write.
And our third place finisher, hey, got to have somebody here. Desiel, what do you got?
BJ Raji needs to leave Green Bay. Don't bring him back. Don't give him any money. His past few years have been bad. Doesn't live up to the first-round pick. Should have taken Brian Orakpo. Imagine Orakpo and Clay Matthews together rushing the passer. Invincible.
So congratulations, Cody, again on winning Sports Scene there with that 10 extra points. Make sure to join us on Thursday on WMC for our week in review. Thanks, guys, again. It's been a fun show today. Had a lot of fun, a lot of good answers, no real bad answers. But so thank you again. We will see you next time, and have a good night, Knuckleheads.